Hey there, guys. We've got kind of a dead week in Brave Exvius this week, so I figured why not to pass the time, go back to Dullahan for another clear, maybe try to improve my score a little bit. I'm currently very safely within the top 1K, but why not be slightly higher if possible? So this is the team we're going to be using. I've been watching, Dark Vision's progress from people over the past week, and it seems like a lot of the high score teams are gravitating towards this kind of team. Maybe not this exact setup, but most of the high score runs seem to have double meteor with Golbez and Onion, Olive for breaking, Frievia and Ayaka for the ice support. And then the last slot is pretty flexible. A lot of high score players are using Tyvis and Yish for their field. Some players are using like X2 Yuna for the big stat buffs, and then she can chain magic with Ayaka's card. Some people are using Chizuru for the stat buffs because she can also chain for the kill turn. I'm going to be going with that option because I don't have really the stuff to do the other options. This is kind of like a variation of a team Resonant posted. This is not really my specific original idea. I'm just pretty much following along what the other high score kids are doing, and I'll just make a video of it as well. There's plenty of videos using the same concept of this team. But let's get in here and give it a go. Now for this clear, I'm not really holding anything back. I'm using all my toys, including Reflect Ring. So here's the ambush. We are using 300 Dark Resist on everyone. That way we don't have to bring kind of like a dead slot like Lilith or something. And there we go. SLB units have to just gear for it. If you're a Brave Shift unit, we can gear their shifted form for the Dark Resist and go all in for DPS on the main form. As far as the single target stuff, we are passive provoking with Onion Knight, and he is using the Reflect Ring. You don't have to use the Reflect Ring. There are ways to work around it with like mitigation, Mirror of Shatal, stuff like that. But just for simplicity's sake, in this video for the first time, this Dark Visions, I am going to use the Reflect Ring. So let's go ahead and use Golbez to do the killer buff from his STMR, Jet Black Spirit. You get that from his upgraded STMR. If you only made the Curse version, you can use a second of his STMR to get the Spirit version, which is an AoE 150 undead killer after a 3-turn delay. Onion Knight will just use in the base form 1,000 Needles for the Mirage. Chizuru is going to sing Zidane's STMR song, and then that'll sing, it's been upgraded on global, so in 3 turns that will finish. Then she's going to do more on turns 4 and 5. And the STMR song buff is now a multi-turn buff, so it'll work out. Olive is just going to do some breaks and focus. We're going to use Frievia to go to the base form, and we're going to do field and then triple preparation to just fill LB gauge. And we're going to base form LB our Ayaka. Now, like I said, we're passive provoking with Onion, and she is going to... he is going to reflect the magic stuff. Now turn 2, we're going to use Onion just to do Needles again for the Mirage. We're going to need it on this turn. We did do it last turn, so we're kind of like, being redundant, but he had nothing else to do. If you're using Mirror of Shatal, then you would do that stuff this turn. As far as Olive, we can just reload her. Frievia is going to go to the shift form, and like I said, we're using all the toys here. We're going to use Jade Moon Pendant for status immunity. This will prevent the disease coming in next turn. Now, we got to push the boss below 50% by the 4th turn. After a test run, I know the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to be using Ayaka to quad. We're going to triple bolting and then good tidings. And we're going to only single cast the bolting strike of Golbez because we don't want to chain too far and kill the boss. So triple casting, bolting, and chaining them will kill the boss. So we're going to just chain one of the boltings, and there we go. And then some damage with Ayaka. We're going to do the rest of the damage in a moment. Here's an AoE physical and a single target stuff. We're provoking with Onion Knight. This is also a single target full break, but our Onion is wearing Vermilion Flag, making him immune to the magic and spirit break. So therefore he is not broken. He's a real good provoker for this fight. Now we're going to start magic focusing our mages because we're going to be killing on turn 5, so magic focus both of them. We're going to use Ayaka to cast her Magnus Presence for everyone. We're also going to use the SOB of Olive to break the boss this turn. Now you could like try to finagle the Olive to do double LB and then get her SOB, or get her focus unlocked without the SOB. That is a big headache of filling her with this team. So I'm not doing that. We're going to just chain with the Ayaka card and take a slight damage hit. But if you can fill her LB on turn 2 and get a double normal LB of Olive and then use the focus and then SOB on turn 5, that would end up being more damage. But I'm not going to go that far. Now, as far as Ayaka, we're going to do... now, if the boss wasn't below 50, Ayaka could like triple or quad and mix in some chains a little bit to push the boss further. We don't need to, so we're just going to presence for everyone for the rolling amplify. Now, as far as Frievia, we'll go to the shift form where she already is. We'll do in guard, pressure, and flick for the 88 breaks, as well as big imperil, as well as sword imperil. The defense break is mostly for Chizuru. There's the dark attack that we are immune to because of the current forms. We're all in either a safe form or, you know, we're wearing 300 resist because of the ambush, so there we go. Golbez will magic focus again, so will Onion. Chizuru has finished singing the Zidane song, which is really no one's using an LB except for her. It's really just for her own 300 LB buff, or one for Ayaka, I'm sorry, for Olive as well, if you're going the RNG fill route, but we're not. So Chizuru is now going to do Eastern Winds for the Katana in Peril, and we're going to do a Focused Strength and a Focused Mind for the 400% attack and magic buff. We're going to use the SLB of Ayaka. We're going to go to the base form with Frievia, and if the boss is still not below 50, she could chain a little bit and then use her Magnus. The boss is below 50, so we're just going to use the Magnus in the base form. And then Olive, same thing, just the Magnus. Now, because the boss is below 50, he's not going to use the defense and spirit buff. Also, the AoE physical attack, as it turns out on turn 4, becomes dark element below 50. Now, the reason that's important is because it's a dark element physical attack, even though we're going to Mirage it, Golbez will not counterattack it because he will be 300 dark resist, meaning the dark attack is immune and you won't counter an immune attack by resistance. So there we go. Makes it nice and easy. No RNG on losing the focus here. So here we go. And then Dark Steel Sword, AoE, and no counters guaranteed because it was a dark element attack. And now it is time to kill. We've got the 100 Amplify and all that. So Golbez is going to Meteor. Awakened Onion is going to Shift and Meteor. They've both been double focused with Dark Range TMR. Meteor. Chizuru will Shift and do her LB. It's only an 88 break, but you know, it's still decent. Look at the top left corner. We've got 88 defense break, 90 spirit break, 185 total in peril, 150 killer on everyone, and then, you know, a katana in peril for herself. Ayaka will do the finale Deep Snow. We're going to use the Ayaka card on Olive and Frievia. And again, if you were able to fill Olive twice in a row, or I'm sorry, you're able to use Olive's LB on turn 1 and do it again on turn 2, or if your Olive is only EX1 or EX2, you know, you could have gotten her SLB. If you got Olive's SLB ready to go on turn 5 with her big focus, the way you would do it, you would chain Chizuru and Olive together. They're both Extreme Nova. You would wait a split second. You would click the meteors. You would wait a moment more for the, and then you would click your Frievia Ayaka, and they would come in at the end of the Extreme Nova chain, and their quad bolting strike should extend long enough to cap the meteors that are still going to be after Olive, and you'd get the 90 break. It's a big headache to do it that way. Because we did all our preemptive breaks, our breaks ahead of time, we can take it nice and easy. Click the meteor guys first, wait, and no stress, chain everyone together, nice and easy. But I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and I'm going to do this a few times to try to get a good variance roll, and I'll come back when I get a respectable variance. This team, based on calculations, can go as high as 15.7 billion, but we're not going to get that high. I want to get something higher than my previous run. So see you in a moment when I get a good roll. Alright guys, it's Variance O'Clock, our favorite time of Brave Exvius. Let's give it a go. Decent roll from Ayaka. Hopefully the rest of the party rolled high. 13.9. That's almost 14. I kind of wanted a 14 before I stopped. I might roll a few more times just to try to go higher. That is my new high. Look at the breakdown real quick. So Golbez is missing about $500 million. Onion maximum 4.3, did 4.1. He almost rolled max. Chizuru 1.8, she rolled 1.4, missing 400 million. Olive 1.9, she rolled 1.8, almost maximum. Frievia max of 1.8, she rolled 1.6, pretty good. And then Ayaka max of 3.1, she rolled 2.9. That is almost a perfect score. So we are missing about $1 billion from my, about $2 billion from my max. Actually, that's, I might go again. That does put me in the top 100 after cheaters. There's about 80 cheaters right now. So 158 minus 80, that's like rank 75 or something. It's pretty good. I'm gonna roll a couple more times and I might take that. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and use my energy bar on this boss. And if I get better, great. If not, we'll go ahead and stop there. But let me go ahead and, what is this? 160, 20 a pop. So let's roll 8 more times, see if we get better. If not, we'll accept that 13.9. So see you in a moment. Okay guys, I rolled the rest of my energy on that boss. We never got higher than that 13.9, even though the calculations say we can go as high as 15.9 with a perfect roll. 13.9 is pretty good for me. At the current time, 13.9 gives me top 100, because even though I'm rank 159, if we pop over here, we can see that the highest legitimate ranks are around here. Liv Dilly, Ubonic, Robot DA, these are all known, high score players. Yami, I'm not familiar with. Maybe he's legit, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure the people above Robot DA are not legitimate. So we have 79 known cheaters. And once they get purged, potentially more. So once they get purged, I'll be at like rank 70 or something. I can't math, somewhere around there. Obviously, we have 2 days left. I'll probably drop some from there. But at the current time, I'm top 100 with the 13.9. That's good enough for me. So let's get in here and show the party. Now, like I mentioned, I was using things like Reflect Ring and all that. Those are not specifically required. You can work around it. But for the last day, I wanted ease of rolling, less clicking. So here it is. So the whole party and their starting form is 300 dark resistance. So Golbez, I only own 1 copy of Dazzling Demoness. Therefore, I gave it to Onion, because Onion has a Brave Shift and he can gear full on for DPS, whereas Golbez had to wear a bunch of dark resist. So Golbez is on Odin for 50 Undead Killer. He's wearing his spirit armor for the undead killer for the party. Chain cap up, dark Walcurious sword, 30% MP from the item world. That with Oliveira's card allows him to cap his MP. And then here is his setup: Phantom Ring, Magic Boost, and a bunch of dark resist, which is what's hurting his gearing a little bit. Not much, thankfully, because he does have natural undead killer and natural dark resist. So 300 dark resist, and he does our secondary damage. Onion in the base form is our passive provoker, so Dancer's Datum, Reflect Ring, Vermilion Flag, so that we don't get magic broken. 300 dark resist in the base form, also using magic boost and 1,000 needles, so a little tricky to gear for all that. And he did get my only copy of Dazzling Demoness. That being said, if you've got a double copy of Dazzling Demoness, you can give the second copy to Golbez, and that adds, honestly, about 1 billion damage to him. So that'll increase your score by about 1 billion. I could get top 50 if I had a second Dazzling Demoness card, but I don't. So there's the base form of Onion: 300 Dark, Passive Provoke, Reflect Ring, 1000 Needles, Magic Boost, etc. Vermilion Flag for the break immunity. Shift form is damage. He is maxed on MP, maxed on Magic. He's got maxed Undead Killer. We don't need resist gear in the shift form because we only shift on the kill turn. Here's the setup, his Chronicle Hat. We're using Onion Knight, the two-handed rod from Lulu, with a lot of MP enchants, 20, 15, and 10 MP. That's a total of 45% MP, plus it has 20% naturally. So that's a 65% MP on the Onion Knight. Now, if I could have rolled the rare modifier, we could have gotten 10% higher, but whatever, we still capped. And there's his setup. Here's his gear, a lot of MP materia. He also has natural Undead Killer, so it makes him a little bit easier to gear here. And, you know, maxed Undead Killer. Very nice. Chizuru in the base form is just 300 Dark Resist. We are using Titus's STMR. The only person using an LB is Chizuru herself, but it gives her an extra 50 LB damage boost, and she has nothing else to do anyway, so why not? And then we are using her for her 400% stat buff. So 400 attack and magic. That's actually a bigger damage gain overall for the entire party, as opposed to having her using Titus's Spirit, because we're not using any big stat buffers in the party, except for her. And then in her shift form, she is using the Cool Smile card because we're bursting within 5 turns. It's a nice boost for her. Other than that, LB damage versus Undead, and her shift form doesn't need anything special, or as far as resistances go. So maxed LB damage, maxed Reaper Killer, and yeah, we don't need any resistances on her shift form, so she can go all in for damage. Olive is the big sad face here. She suffers by far the most gearing for Dark Resist. SLB unit, gotta do it. So she's at 300 Dark Resist, and then we're only at 225 Reaper. And I know at the beginning of the video I mentioned you could maybe gear her and fill her LB. Honestly speaking, because she can't really gear for this, her LB damage is very, very low. I think her LB would actually deal less damage than the Ayaka card, because I don't think you can gear her for 300 Dark Resist, plus maxed LB damage, plus Undead Killer, all at the same time. Maybe it's possible, but I doubt it. So honestly, the Ayaka card is probably going to end up being better damage for Olive as opposed to her LB. And here's the gear we're using. You know, maybe I could move things around and make her LB better, but I kind of doubt it. Who knows? Anyway, she's the 90 Spirit Breaker, which is obviously very critical. Frostblade Frievia, starting in the shift form for 300 Dark Resist. We're using the Jade Moon Pendant to get status immunity for the party to the disease. If you don't have the Jade Moon Pendant, not any great options in this party, truth be told. No one has a free action to actually cast the Cure on turn 4, so you would have to either gear for immunity or just deal with being diseased. It'd just be a damage loss. But if you do have the Jade Moon Pendant, there's an immunity buff, and that'll make you nice and, well, immune. Other than that, kind of whatever in the shift form. Also using Ayaka's card. And then in the base form, damage. Just magic damage versus Undead. She's maxed on everything, even had a free slot, so I gave her chain speed because free slot. And there it is. And then Ayaka, surprisingly, doesn't actually take that much of a loss to gear for 300 Undead. For 300 Dark. So 300 Dark Resist, she is an SLB unit, but it doesn't really hurt her very much, completely honest here. She can gear for it pretty well. She's using this card just because, high magic, and then Change of Strength. At EX3, she only needs a 0.5 chain cap up, and this gives it to her, along with giving her a 25% killer, and we geared for literally exactly 300 Reaper Killer. And yeah, she is our ice support. So I'll have a turn chart in the comments, and again, the most flexible unit of this party is Chizuru. Tybus and Yish is a good option. X2 Yuna is a good option, because really all Chizuru is doing is stat buffs and then some damage herself. Ayaka, the reason I'm saying Yuna is because Yuna can do a slightly bigger Undead Killer for the party, as well as 400 stat buffs, and she can use a copy of Ayaka's card to deal more damage than Chizuru's LB because we're not using 90 defense breaks. That would require you to own 3 copies of a Yaka card, so that is kind of like super high end only. I can't do that. But anyway, there's my clear. I think, well, I'm definitely top 1,000. We've got 2 days remaining. I'm 25 places deep into top 100, so if in the next 2 days I lose 25 slots, if I get super bored, I might come back and roll more variants, but I don't know. It's a big headache to roll variants in this boss. But there it is. There's an updated clear, so see you for Newsday tomorrow. Later.